Welcome back from break. So we're going to transition into a mini lesson, and you'll need your notebooks again. And so I will ask you one more time to come forward, and you'll only be up here for about 6 minutes. So if you could bring your notebook and something to write with, and come on back up. Thank you. Can you all hear me? Okay, so writers. We've been working on our narrative stories, our personal narratives, and we've been kind of exploring edgy writing and stories that pull our reader right in. And so today I want to teach you about a particular kind of sentence that can spice up our writing a little bit. It can help us connect things. And that type of sentence is called a compound sentence. And first we're going to learn from Pat Brisson, who wrote The Summer My Father Was 10. And you remember this story. So the father and the daughter are planting a garden. And he thinks back. So he's going back in time to when he was 10. And he lived in a city with his parents. And this is their neighbor. And the neighbor plants a garden every year. And probably the emotion this author feels or felt when he was writing this was probably the emotion of regret. Because if you remember, the author and his friends destroyed Mr. Valavista's garden. They weren't trying to destroy it, they were really just having fun, and it got out of hand, and they were throwing tomatoes at each other, and basically the garden was ruined. And the sadness that Mr. Valavista experienced, and he did not replant that garden. So the page I want to center on is this page, and you've got a copy of it, I believe, in a small piece in your lap, and it's also on the screen. So I'm going to read from this story. My father looked at the garden, trampled and ruined, and it was only then that he realized what they had done. He looked back at Mr. Bellavista, but the old man had gone to his plants and was tenderly picking up the broken pieces and setting them in a pile at his feet. My father's friends all went away, leaving my father and Mr. Bellavista alone in the lot. My father wanted to go over and tell his neighbor he was sorry, but his feet were like heavy stones holding him there. He watched for a few more minutes and then dragged himself home. So that's what happened on that page. And I wanted to study the different types of sentences that the author used. And what I realized is on this one little page, there are 3 compound sentences. And I want to draw your attention, and maybe you can underline it. If you would underline or circle the sentence, it's in the second paragraph. My father wanted to go over and tell his neighbor he was sorry, but his feet were like heavy stones holding him there. So as I study that sentence, I notice that there's 2 parts to it, right? There's the part, my father wanted to go over and tell his neighbor he was sorry. So there's that part. And then there's a second part, his feet were like heavy stones holding him there. So each part could really stand by itself, couldn't it? It could be its own sentence. And it's joined by some words. So I'm going to put this up here. Oops, got my tape right here. So I notice the first part, my father, I'm just too organized for my own good here. So the first part is here. My father wanted to go over and tell his neighbor he was sorry. And again, that could stand by itself. I could put a period there, and I could go on. The second part of the sentence is, his feet were like heavy stones holding him there. So what I am noticing is both sentences could stand alone, and in a compound sentence, the second part of the sentence doesn't start with a capital. It's lowercase. And they have those joining words, those coordinating conjunctions. That's what we call some of those words that are in there. The words like, and the word that was used here is what? It's the word but, right? So my father wanted to go over and tell his neighbor he was sorry, and then there's a comma, and then the word but. And that little tiny word joins those two sentences. It coordinates it. It conjoins it. So a compound sentence is when you have two thoughts that you want the reader to put together. And so my father wanted to go, but he was kind of embarrassed, right? So you've got these two different mixed emotions, and they're joined by one little word. And that little word is but, and we call those coordinating conjunctions, and we'll talk about those types of words later. So I thought in my story, I wanted to try putting some of my thoughts together in compound sentences. And I think I actually might need somebody to do this for me. So my story is on the screen. If you could just hold, I think it's going to be okay. And we know that we've been writing sometimes about regret. And so my regret story is about the time, you remember me telling you the story, the time I stole a candy bar from our kitchen when there were only enough candy bars for everybody. And so my story is I ran home from school through the back fields and across the ditch. Dust rose around me, sweat streamed down my face. I'm tired and hot and hungry. I'm so hungry. In the house, I head straight for the kitchen sink and guzzle about 3 glasses of water. Putting the glass down, I listen for my sisters. Quiet, too quiet. I walk around the house. No one is there. My stomach growls. I remember how hungry I am. I also remember that Mom hid candy bars in the top kitchen cabinet. These were not just any candy bars. These were Reese's peanut butter cups. So I've only looked at the first 2 paragraphs, and right off the bat, I noticed in the beginning, my first couple sentences, dust rose around me, sweat streamed down my face. So I've got 2 short sentences, and they're okay that way, but it seems like, and I made some planning boxes, it seems like that would be a great place to make a compound sentence. And so I would make it, dust rose around me, and sweat streamed down my face. So I want to see if I can make that match my pattern. Thank you, Amy. So on one part, I've got the dust rose around me, and I made sure to capitalize that part. And on the other side, I've got sweat streamed down my face. And I didn't use the word but. Dust rose around me, but sweat streamed down my face. That doesn't make sense because they kind of go against each other, right? So in this case, I want to use the word, thank you. I want to use the word and. Dust rose around me, comma, and sweat streamed down my face. And I made sure to not capitalize the second part because it's joined by that conjunction there in the middle. And I've got one more sentence. The sentence about the stomach growling. Can you click that one more time there? So you can see the 2 planning boxes I have, and this is the second planning box. I've got my stomach growls. I remember how hungry I am, and so I'm putting those together into a compound sentence. And I'm also going to use the word and here, I think. There's more words that you can use here besides and but. And these 2 seem to be used the most in the book. I think almost all the ones in the book when my father was 10 are either and or but. Those seem to be the very most common. My stomach growls, and I remember how hungry I am. So as you look at these compound sentences, think about what you notice. What are some of the guidelines or the rules to write a compound sentence? Would you just turn and talk to your neighbor about what some of those guidelines might be? And we'll try to capture a few of those. Thank you, writers. And thanks to Janie. Janie's starting a chart for us over here. I basically have taken this chart, and you can see that I've used it on the computer, and we've got a couple sample sentences there. So what's one guideline you and your partner came up with? I'd like to try to see if we can get about 3. So somebody could raise their hand and say, I've got one. Thank you.
You said you have to have 2 sentences that can stand alone.
Okay, so each side needs to be a complete sentence. Each side needs to be a complete sentence. Thank you. Yes?
After the first sentence, you put a comma instead of a period, or?
Okay.
punctuation mark?
All right, thank you. And then the next guideline we'll add is a comma follows the first part. Is it okay to say it that way? A comma follows the first part. And let's get one more.
You have to add and,
So, that's okay, you're fine. Right here.
The second sentence is not capitalized.
The second sentence is not capitalized. And we'll get one more from you.
you have to add in a fanboy or a coordinating conjunction.
You have to add in a fanboy. And so now I'm kind of going out of the model here. So I purposefully tried to place these in a way that I could actually add the fanboys as we use them and talk into those. So so you need, let's see, how did I put it here? I think you could say the middle word is a fanboy. Does that make sense if we say that? Or how would you do it, Amy?
You have to explain what a fanboy is.
Oh,
Kindergarten folks,
okay.
that all the time, and I finally said, what is a fanboy?
Let me see the clicker. I think I've got it on the screen, but I'm not sure if I did. Fanboy is for, oh, we don't have it there.
It's a mnemonic device to help you remember the coordinating conjunctions. So fanboy is like the beginning.
For,
So for is the
and, nor, but, or, yet, so.
Those are the
Fanboys. When I first started this lesson, I put them all there, and then I thought, that's too much for a fourth grader at one time. So you could say a coordinating conjunction. So here's the choice for teacher choice. Would you say a coordinating conjunction follows the first sentence, or would you say a fanboy? But they don't know what fanboys are yet. So, okay. All right. What would you do, Amy?
I would go back and look at what language is there any language in the standard?
Coordinating conjunction.
Then I would use that.
Okay. So there's so the first sentence is followed by a coordinating conjunction, and I use the standard in the title of the chart there too. So, okay. So writers, you have an understanding of what compound sentences are, and we know that writers use them when they want to show a relationship between two things. Sometimes the two things are connected by an and. They go together. Dust rose around me, and sweat streamed down my face. Sometimes they kind of almost push against each other with that word but in them. My father wanted to go over and tell his neighbor he was sorry, but his feet were like heavy stones holding him there. So would you go back and look at your writing and see a place where maybe you added a compound sentence, or a place where you maybe, like me, could just draw a little planning box and write a compound sentence where you might join two of yours together?
Does the standard say sentences, or does it say independent clauses, dependent clauses?
I don't remember.
I'm just saying, if you're talking about terminology, then you would say independent clause as
Right.
opposed to a sentence.
As opposed to a sentence. You could, yes, yes. Yep. I'd have to go back and look at it. I think it's independent clauses. Okay, writers, and if you could turn back this way. We're going to take a look at one that Christy, look at her sentence, and also something she noticed about her sentence that also is like my sentence up here. So see if you can figure this out. So Christy, what's the first part of your sentence?
In 11th grade English class, we were assigned to present a speech about how to do something.
In an 11th grade English class, we were assigned to create a speech
Present a speech about how to do something.
about how to do something. And the next side?
I chose how to make brownies.
And I chose how to make brownies. Okay, and what did you notice about yours?
I used a comma at the end of the first part. I used and as my coordinating conjunction, but my next word was a capital letter.
Just like this one. So, you know, a particular type of sentence is never just one thing, is it? There's always a lot of different things going on in writing that we need to pay attention to. And we know that we always capitalize the word I, don't we? And so that rule still needs to hold true here. So maybe we need to add there, the second part is not capitalized unless it's I. All right. So writers, as you go off to work on your stories today, remember that you can always think about your sentence structure, and if you want to show a relationship between two sentences, you can make it a compound sentence. Thanks.